Welcome to The Trader, a Traitors podcast. My name's Matthew, and I'm a writer, reality competition TV fanatic, and a 100% faithful. Promise. I also have the charisma of a teaspoon, according to an iTunes review of the podcast. Thank you, anonymous internet person. The Trader is a deep dive into every episode of the reality TV show that will have you doubting every word everyone in your life is saying to you, The Traitors, streaming now on BBC and Peacock. This season of the podcast is dedicated to the UK series of The Traitors, and today I'll be joined by a brand new guest co-host and Traitors superfan to dive into episode 8 of the show. First though, it's time for some Traitors updates in TT News. Game designer Sophie Mallinson has a reality TV Substack blog and has published 2 articles about The Traitors. The first uncovers some off-screen secrets of the show and mentions various events that viewers don't get to see but which are particularly important to the game, including a reference to why faithful Tom, RIP, was so sure that Alyssa, also RIP, was a traitor. The second article focuses more on the US Traitors and the idea of a metagame, discussing the celebrity and non-celebrity hybrid format with some interesting theories. The blog is a worthwhile read for all Traitors fans, so head over and have a read. I'll post a link in the show notes. Calling all Funko Pop collectors out there. Fancy your own figure of your favourite Traitors contestant? You may well be able to get your hands on one. Instagram creator and reality TV fan Todd Herzog designs and creates custom-made Funko Pop figures based on stars of your favourite shows, particularly Survivor and, more recently, The Traitors. Todd has created figurines of Andy, Kate, Cirie, Stephanie, and the most misspelled reality TV contestant of all time, Geraldine, from the US Traitors. Todd seems able to capture just about any famous personality you can imagine. Check out his Instagram at Todd Herzog, that's at TODDHERZOG, and get in touch with him if you'd like your own custom-made Traitors figure. Heads up, if you're planning on buying me one, please go for a Maddie Marple or an Angel Andrea. Thank you. Now it's time to meet my brand new guest co-host for the brilliant episode 8 of The Traitors UK. My guest on this episode of The Trader is Joseph. Joseph is a Traitor superfan and also a huge comic book fan, particularly X-Men, which you can check out on his Instagram page, which I'm sure he'll tell us about later. Additionally, Joseph has a YouTube channel where he mod makes for games like Pro Wrestling Sim and Music Wars Empire. Joseph, welcome to The Trader. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing really well. Thank you so much. Now, Joseph, I know that you are a big Traitors fan. You probably know more about it than I do. How did you first find the Traitors? Where did you discover it?
Gogglebox. It was on Gogglebox. It was Nikki's episode where she was eliminated. So it spoiled that. And I thought, right, I just want to give this a chance, and got hooked on it, and then ever since then I watched the US and other series as well.
So you've seen different versions, so you can sort of compare different things to one another.
Definitely, yeah. And I think there'll be bits where I will, because there's bits in this episode especially that I find other series can learn off this one and vice versa. But yeah, it's very it's just something. I think what I love about the game is it's different, it's original. It's not a remake, and I kind of think we need that in a day and age where everything's kind of made, done, and it's like Cluedo, which I love. So yeah,
like real life Cluedo. Yeah. Now, Joseph, I'm going to ask you what I ask all new guest co-hosts, and that is, what is your biggest betrayal. That could be the biggest, the best, the worst, the funniest lie you ever told. And did you get away with it?
Right. So I must have been about 5 or 6 in primary school, and my sister looks like, well, she looked more like her then. Emma Bunton from the Holler Spice Girls era. So on the CT single, she looked the spitting image of her. So I went in school and I was like, oh, my sister's there. She's like, and she lived in Middlesbrough because she lived in Middlesbrough at the time with her mum. And I was like, oh, she's away filming. She's doing like, what took you so long? And people genuinely fell for it. And I then went in, I think a few days later, they were getting calls. So my mum had been called into school and they were going, oh, parents and that, and asked them, like, where's Emma Bunton? Because your son's saying this is Emma Bunton. So I was found out, so I understood, and it was going to get found out. But yeah, that was probably the funniest lie I've told.
That's brilliant. I love that Spice Girls story. It's so funny because the vast majority of people I've asked about their biggest betrayal always tell me a story from school. It's always like a childhood, like ridiculous lie.
Probably because it was more fun when you were younger as well.
Exactly. Fewer consequences for lying.
Exactly, yeah.
So, Joseph, we are also going to play a game throughout this episode. We're going to play the Traitor. So, for listeners who maybe don't know the game, our goal from here on in is to tell one lie to one another. The lie has to be a fabrication or a made-up fact, big or small. It can't be a fake opinion, like saying you'd take £3,000 if it was offered to you by Claudia Winkleman, when actually you wouldn't even get out of bed for £3,000. At the end of the episode, we each have to put our traitor hunting skills to the test and decide what we thought the other person's lie was. Joseph, are you ready to play the Traitor?
I am ready. Bring it on.
Good. In that case, it's time to talk about episode 8 of The Traitors UK. Episode 8 begins with a bit of a recap of Traitors Tower. So we know that our traitors, Wilf and Amanda, are going to murder either Amos or Alex tonight. And we hear a bit of Amanda's voice reminding us that they think they probably should murder somebody who's never going to get banished. And they've come down to Amos or Alex as their final two options. So we very swiftly then move to breakfast. At breakfast, Maddie comes in quite early and she looks like she's a bit nervous or a bit upset. And we realise that there's something weighing on her mind. And it's this idea that actually she's an actress and she hasn't told anybody yet. She decides, though, after a few people arrive, she's got Amanda, Theo, Meryl and Kieran around her. She decides that she's going to tell them that actually she does do a bit of acting. And we know a lot about this now. So Maddie, she says that she's been in EastEnders and Casualty. She was an extra on Waterloo Road. I just wonder why is she telling them this? I mean, what do you think, Joseph? What should she have told everybody?
Oh, it's a tough one because watching it, and you knew as soon as you walk in, you could see the fear, you could see a panic, and I was like, she's gonna say something. And then obviously with Amanda being there, and you could see her being like, oh, I want to say, but I'm a bit unsure. And it's, again, I feel Maddie had this whole feeling throughout the entire episode to me of should she, shouldn't she? But I don't know, it's interesting because, like, you're at this point of the game where you're getting smaller and smaller, and every little thing is going to kick everyone off. You've just got Kieran and Amos there who are still brand new, who have just come in.
Yeah.
And then you're thinking you don't want to make them sus on you because they've got no preconceptions of anybody. So I think I felt happy that she told them because it felt like it was weighing on her mind, probably more than what we've seen. So probably the night before she was probably thinking it. But yeah, I felt very sorry for her in this circumstance, actually. And I do at the beginning, if I can just go back to Amanda and Will in the tower,
Yeah.
you can see they're crumbling. And I even think Amanda's crumbling.
Yeah, it's getting more and more difficult as the episodes go on, and we're at episode 8 of 12 now. It's getting really tough.
Not many left.
I agree with you that I feel I really like Maddie and I feel bad for her.
Oh,
But tactically, I think it's probably a bad decision to tell people more than halfway through the competition that there's something you've not told everybody. Only because I think, well, what would that look like to everybody else? Like, I think Maddie should maybe think about, well, what was it like when Tom announced to everybody that him and Alex had been keeping their relationship secret? That just blew up. It became the infamous red breakfast. So if I was Maddie, I'd be thinking, oh, last time somebody revealed a big secret, it didn't go down well. So maybe I should just hold on for 4 more days and not tell anybody. But hey, she goes ahead. She tells them that she's an actress. And of course, for Amanda, this is great news. Amanda thinks, oh, I could really use this now. And she continues to use it throughout the episode. At the same time, I know I'm saying it's a terrible idea that Maddie told everybody this. The way they react is a little bit over the top. I mean, they act as if she's just told them she's an assassin or something. Like they're horrified. They're like, "You're a what? An actress?" Like it's not the most surprising thing in the world. I mean, what did you think of everybody's response?
This is the bit that really got me watching it, and I felt for the third time, this is the third time I've watched it, and Maddie, when I first watched it, I wasn't a big fan of it, and then she did a big turnaround the second time. She's my favourite, or one of them. I just thought, you'd think she'd said, like, I'm a member of, like, the Secret Service, and I've got, like, something on one of these contestants' backgrounds. It was a bit to me, and I mean, I love Maddie, but it's extra work. I watched the episodes in EastEnders that she was in. It was an episode. Like, the way they were going on, you'd think it was like Judy Dench that walked in under the sky. Like, oh, she's an actress. She's an actress. And it's like, all right. So I felt really bad for her in this episode, actually. I think it went a bit too, because she wasn't there to defend herself either. I was like, this seems really cruel in a way. And I know the game's cruel, but I was like, yeah, it's not. And again, in a bit, I'll talk about it. But yeah, I think Amanda definitely, there was times I was looking at it thinking, if there was someone cleverer in that position, you'd have pulled out yourself.
Yeah. So as breakfast continues and more people arrive, Faye reveals that she had the shield. She had won that in the armory, and therefore she had a great sleep last night. She didn't have to worry about being murdered. And it's funny, although it's very obvious, it did remind me when I was watching it again how anxious they all must be every night, unless you're a traitor. Although then you've got your own anxieties to worry about. But, every night when they go to bed, they really must be thinking, am I about to get murdered? So yeah, it must be a really difficult experience, actually, wondering, am I going to see everybody in the morning? Am I going to lose my chance to win all this money? So Faye, she's had a night off from that. She's not had to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're waiting for really our final person to arrive. We know it's either going to be Alex or Amos. And there's a knock at the door. Amos arrives. It becomes clear that Alex has been murdered by the traitors. And we get a little flashback. We see Alex. She gets her letter. To me, it seemed quite inevitable that Alex wasn't going to last long after she'd refused the recruitment. And her murder note even says, "You should have accepted, bye-bye." And I thought that was pretty savage of the traitors to go to that extreme. But I think they're right. I think she really should have accepted her chance to be recruited. A, because you've got a better chance of winning if you're a traitor in terms of numbers. But B, just because of what's now happened. I think if you refuse recruitment, you should kind of expect that the traitors aren't going to like that. So, I mean, what do you think of Alex rejecting recruitment?
So many thoughts, and I was genuinely quite watching it back. I felt really annoyed because she was put in a position that she didn't have to be put in. She got the bare brunt of it. She didn't even tell anyone. She was as shocked as we were as viewers. And I felt like again, if it was a woman that had said it and it was a man in her position, it would have been a different reversal. I felt sorry for her in a way that could she, I think, yes, she should have took it. I think she would have been a good traitor. But at the same time, I think she'd gone through all that stress in general, and I thought she probably thought, I don't need any more of this. And again, in that mindset at that moment, she's probably like, I'm tired. I could literally kill Tom for what he's done to me and wreck any chances. And in a way, I thought they'd have been, not conspiracy, but a controversial thought. I thought it'd have been better if Amos had been killed.
Ah, okay. Why is that?
Well, they had no links to him, so you've got no attachment to him in that way other than Andrea. And I think in a way it would have made Kieran maybe be a bit more guns blazing, because I feel for Kieran he hadn't shown much in this episode at all, really. And I think with Alex, and it makes me think in the future, if you reject it, could this add another layer going forward if you become like a seer or something? Because I did think it was a bit cruel and a bit like, yeah, she rejected, she's gone. I was like, is that really a good enough reason though? I think Amos would have been more, because they keep saying we want them turning on each other. Get Amos out, Andrea's going to be more sweary than she was in this with the iconic lines. I just think it would have been more of a ripple if he'd have gone, because then it's like, yeah, that's savage in a way because he never got a chance to play. And Alex would have been more. I think there was more to Alex that I don't think, because we always seen her with Tom, where it was like, I'd have liked to have seen her a bit more without Tom and seen how she's played more, what alliances she would have made.
Yeah. No, but that's a really good point that Amos's murder could have created more chaos amongst everybody, and that could work to the traitor's advantage. I think that really, although they wrote their silly note saying you should have accepted, I don't think that's really why they murdered her. I don't think it was just out of revenge. I reckon it was totally tactical because Alex had kind of proved herself to be a faithful. Everybody thought,
Definitely.
if we're certain of anybody now, it's her, and that the traitors can't use that. They don't want people around who everybody knows is a faithful, because then that person's not going to get banished. So I think the traitors just thought she's a bit useless to us now.
Yeah, I didn't feel there was a react. I mean, again, Maddie had just said she was an actress, so that it took away, I think, from her not arriving, because it didn't seem a big. In this again, I felt sorry for Alex because no one seemed to have really reacted at you as a say, and if you will just say, "Oh, she's gone," but it's like. That was it. I mean, it was basically Maddie's talking about being like, I was a homeless woman in EastEnders, that iconic line. But yeah, I think that it took away. But obviously, it wasn't Maddie's fault. But yeah, I felt for. I think Alex got a really bad side of the coin. I think she really got a bad deal.
Yeah,
in this game.
She did in the end. I think you're right. At breakfast, then, Claudia arrives and she sort of echoes the traitor's note. She has the picture of Alex taken off the wall with the help of Big Tall Theo, and she says, bye-bye, Alex. She also then hints at their mission for today. She gives this sort of creepy vibe about something happening in the woods, which leaves everybody wondering what they're going to be doing. Before we get to the mission, though, there's some discussions around the house, and like you said, a couple of them mention, Alex is gone. That's sad. Although they move on quite quickly. Amanda, she's jumped right onto this information from Maddie being an actress. She wants to use that in her favor. She drops it into conversation in front of Andrea. She wants everybody to know about it. In another room in the house, Theo and Meryl do the same. They're telling all of the others, oh, at breakfast this morning, Maddie just told us that she's an actor. Again, everyone's so shocked as if it's the worst thing they've ever heard. And Wilf's there, so he has to pretend to be shocked. Well, he doesn't have to pretend to be shocked. He didn't know about it. But he realizes, oh, this is really good for me. And in his interview, he admits, this is a shock, but also great. And Amanda enters the room at the same time. She keeps bigging up how bad this is. Oh, she's not sure of Maddie at all. And she says Maddie must be a really good actress because she wasn't just an extra in EastEnders. She actually had a part. She was Rita, the homeless woman. So she must be a great actress. What's the funniest bit about this is that then it then cuts right to Maddie in her interview with a big grin on her face, going, "I'm feeling really all right now." So Maddie thinks this is all great. This was the best decision ever. Little does she know that behind her back, everyone is going, "Oh, we don't trust her at all now." Poor Maddie. I really felt a bit
Oh,
sorry for her here. Now, Faye is in a bit of doubt too, as well, because she says that she always got on well with Maddie and they were quite close. But now, even she's thinking, well, is our friendship real? Has Maddie been lying to me this whole time? Of course, I've recently crowned Faye like the queen of wrong because she's got another wrong theory. Now she thinks that Maddie and Aaron are the traitors and that Aaron is like mirroring all of her votes every time at the round table she votes for someone. Aaron does the same thing, and she's quite suspicious of that. I mean, totally wrong, completely wrong. But Faye does. Who's to know? Poor Faye. She doesn't know how wrong she is.
she's the Quentin of the UK.
Exactly. Yes.
So with the more talk about Maddie and this actor thing, it's really getting to the point where, and I found Faye a bit cocky in that chair, the way she was like, and it's Aaron as well. It's him. It has to, and it's like, one, you're sitting with a traitor, and I'm kind of noting a UK pattern of Hannah with Will here, with Amanda being like, "You're a faithful, you're definitely a faithful." I'm like,
Yeah.
how wrong you so are. But I was thinking, will this make people very mentally aware of what they do as a job before going into this castle? Because this is where, and again, it happened with Shelby. It happened on another series where they thought supermarket worker was a lawyer, which not a bad job to think, but that person wasn't getting paid lawyer wages. So will this eventually, will it be where people are just going to go in and go, I don't know, I'm unemployed or something, so they've got nothing to worry about?
Yeah.
Because it is starting to really make you think you could be like, whatever, high up, something like a police, like Claire, the police officer, she didn't tell them, probably for that reason. So yeah, but I think with Maddie, I did feel sorry for her because like she's like, "Oh, I'm fine," and it's like majority of this castle are literally talking about you behind your back, and it just seems dead cruel because she's a nice person that you do want to root for, and she is right about Will. She's just wrong about Aaron and why.
She is. You're right. It's a running theme throughout various versions of the Traitors. I think particularly in the Australian version that people. A lot of or several of the contestants kept their backgrounds hidden from everybody, kept their occupations or things that they had been through. I don't want to spoil it. One contestant
No, of course.
has this huge backstory, something incredible that happened in his life, and doesn't reveal it at all until it's his time to leave the competition, and the others are blown away by it. So I think what you have to do is make a decision when you go in. You either tell everybody everything about you up front that you want them to know, or you don't tell them anything until you are gone. Telling people halfway through something about your life that you didn't tell them just always looks suspicious, I think. It just, even if you've got nothing to be suspicious about, it just makes everybody wonder, why didn't they tell us that straight away? Why did they keep it till now? Why have they told us that halfway through? So that's what I would say about that. Kieran also then comes up with this sort of theory outside in the grounds. He says that he thinks there must be a male traitor. And he is right, because there is a male traitor, there's Wilf. But there's no there's no guarantee of that. There's no reason that has to be the case. But that's what he puts out there, and he says, well, there only are 4 males left. I think it's one of us. Well, he's not saying that it's him. But then Hannah is just, she's adamant that Wilf is not a traitor. She says, I trust Wilf 100%. She's so wrong. Joseph, why do you think Wilf has managed to fool people so well?
So I'm going to say he's looked his way through as a traitor. He hasn't played this game well. With the listening to him, it could have gone his way. And looking at it, I think Amanda should have got rid of him and kept Alyssa. But then Alyssa was also crumbling, so it was like catch-22. But I think with Will, he's got a good group. I'd say he's the one who actually has a consistent group of people that he can fall on. And Hannah's like his literal shield at this point of, she'll be like, no, he's not a traitor. She'll bet her life on it. And it's like, all right, don't go a bit too far. But she's very adamant. And even when someone mentions it, you think it was like a childhood friend or something, the way she's dead defensive at this point. again, I don't know how long they've been there. I'm surmising it's been a week, but she's very close to him, and it's like she won't hear anything about him. But then you could say that about Faye and Amanda when they were in that room. But yeah, Will's just got lucky, and I think coincidences have helped him, like Tom and Alex, that shifted him right, and I think that saves him from that night. You had the Alyssa thing. I feel like stuff have always happened around him having heat on him. It's just talking off. Like this Maddie thing will be like perfect for him.
Yeah. I think speaking of lucky things that have happened for Will, you're right. Alyssa's banishment probably did him really well. And I was reading, Tom did an interview with, I think it was Metro, after he was banished. And Tom said there's something that happened either during that episode or very close to that episode where Alyssa got banished. Alyssa gave herself away by making a slip up, and they don't include it in the program. There's something Alyssa did that made particularly Tom very suspicious of her, and what it is they were having a chat around the house or something, and they were having a laugh, and they were doing impressions of Claudia, and Tom said to Alyssa, right, do your best Claudia impression, and Alyssa said, "Hello, traitors." And Tom was like, why would Claudia say hello, traitors? She doesn't say hello, traitors. So Alyssa accidentally said something that Claudia only says to the traitors.
Oh.
And so Tom, he said he didn't address it, but that's why Tom was suddenly so sure that Alyssa was a traitor. And he was right, but hey.
So, oh my gosh, amazing.
The mission then for this episode is the creepy cabin, and it's another mission where they split into two separate teams, and for whichever team makes it out of the cabin the fastest, if they make it out, they will win armory passes. This mission's kind of like I'm a Celebrity meets an escape room. It's not really. I like the escape room vibe. I don't really like the bugs and maggots and dead fish heads aspect of it. Not really my thing. They have to solve a series of clues to open padlocks and escape, and they're helping one another through a wall by shouting out things. What do you think of the mission, Joseph? Do you like this mission?
Do you know, it's probably my favourite mission because it's just, I don't know, it's the whole watching a show and seeing people get water on them and they're all screaming. It's actually something that you think, yeah, this is quite funny to watch, even though for them it's probably like the last thing, especially for Hannah and Meryl because they've watched for it. So it's like it's awful of fun and game. But no, it is a good mission. I like it.
Yeah, and you referenced this earlier, and I've written it down because it was the funniest thing of the entire episode. I even wrote down the time, if anyone wants to go back to BBC iPlayer or Peacock, at 21 minutes and 10 seconds, Andrea says the funniest thing. I couldn't stop, even though I've seen this episode before, I couldn't stop laughing. It's Aaron is like weighing out the maggots to get the right number of kilograms or whatever it is. He's freaking out. Meanwhile, Andrea is getting soaked with freezing cold water, and it cuts to her interview, and she just says, "Oh, Aaron, for Christ's sake, fuck off, just get on with weighing the things." And to hear that from Andrea just is the funniest juxtaposition of things. It made me laugh so much.
Oh, it was so funny. This task, this gave me very Crystal Maze vibes.
Yeah, that's literally what I've written on my notes, Crystal Maze.
Gave me, Claudia was that woman with the orange hair in the Crystal Maze, that mother of his. She was very, it felt very, this was the most Crystal Maze episodes I think I've seen so far in this show.
That's so funny. It's literally what I've written. Because, yeah, she's looking in the little sort of peepholes to giving them advice, helping them out. Yes, because some of the missions, she's not really... Like in the barrel mission last episode, she's at the distillery at the very end, just waiting for them.
Yeah, just sitting there.
Yeah, she's right there with it. And Claudia obviously is told in advance, here's how the game works, here's how they're going to win, because she knows what. It's the same with like the music box challenge episodes ago, that she kind of knows what objects they're looking for, and
she gave them a hint.
She does. Alan in the US version would never do such a thing.
Nope.
So by the end of the mission, the green team win, and the blue team are apparently 40 seconds too late, which means that the green team win armory passes. So that's armory passes for Wilf, Hannah, Kieran, Maddie, Faye, and Meryl. And they've raised £3,000, which means the total prize fund at this point is £68,000 That's a lot of money. £68,000 I said that in a really weird way. I don't know why I said it like that. A lot of money anyway. So Claudia also tells them that there is going to be a dinner party tonight, which they seem really excited about, but they may be also kind of worried, is something bad going to happen as well? We move on then to the armory right after that. And Maddie, this is Maddie's first time in the armory, and she's really excited. She says, oh, it's like Harry Potter or Narnia. She's first in, and she gets the shield straight away. And although it kind of doesn't matter that much, because they're still using this tactic of, as a group, agreeing they won't tell anybody who found the shield, and therefore they're all protected as a group. Unless that only works if the traitors decide not to murder anyone in that group. The traitors could just take a chance and say, do you know what, even though we don't know who's got it, let's just take a stab in the dark, no pun intended, because there's kind of like there's only a 1 in 6 chance of getting it wrong, or 1 in 5, because they know that Wealth can say, well, I don't have it. So the traitors still could try and murder one of that group. What do you think of this tactic that they've come up with?
Oh, I hate it. It genuinely, as a viewer, this ruins the game, because it's like, if there was only, especially if teams are, when you're low and they have so many on one and there's only so little on another, it's like, well, if the traitors on that team, there's only 2 other people to pick from. To me, I'm going to be honest, because this does go back to that trial. I think Thea was the least helpful in that trial as a whole. Yeah. I actually watched it back and I could see Aaron losing his temper when he smashed that key. I thought that was anger. So I'd look at it more like, you did the least, you're gone. But I just don't like how it's all like, oh, we're all safe. And it's like, they all have like this arrogance about them because they all know they're safe. So they're like walking around fine. And then you've got the other team that's like, oh, we know it, because they all know that rule's in. They've all discussed it with each other.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, do the Australian way, where you protect from banishment and murder, and let everyone know you've won it and actually have them work for it rather than just getting it from chest. Because it is a bit, I don't know with the US one, like I can't remember now, they didn't do the protection thing like we did.
They actually did. At least once they did also somehow figure out that this would be a good idea.
They did it once, but I think with production, that rule is getting changed.
Definitely.
Season. They do not want this, because as a viewer, it's unfair. On the traitors, in a way, it's unfair. It's another thing that makes it harder for them. But then, like you say, stab in the dark, and if someone's got it, everyone's there the next day. You've all technically got another day together. So, yeah, it boils my blood watching it with the whole acting with it.
I think you're right.
But I'm glad Maddie won it.
Yeah. I think the producers must not have thought that the players would come up with this. And as soon as they started doing it, the producers are going, oh, shit, this is not what we wanted to happen. So I think that will change.
Yeah.
After the armory then, we have some more discussions round about the house. Amanda and Aaron, who were in the blue team, who didn't get to go to the armory, they realise that this group shield plan is actually terrible for them, because they're thinking, oh, now probably one of us, if there's going to be a murder tonight, it's more likely for it to happen to one of us. This isn't good. And Andrea suddenly becomes like really devious and scheming here. She goes, right, do you know what? We're going to just have to agree to vote out someone from that other group. And they all, I don't totally understand this plan. She says, right, what we're going to have to do is vote for somebody in that other group to leave tonight, because they don't know yet that there won't be a round table. And I think the plan is that they might then banish someone who has the shield. There's this really funny moment with, I know I always call Andrea Angel Andrea, but I'm also calling Aaron Angel Aaron. Angel Aaron has this really sweet innocent moment where he just goes, we're like really playing a game now, aren't we? We are playing a game. Like even he's not sure what's happening, and it's as if it's like just occurred to him for the first time. Oh, we're supposed to be like playing this like it's a game.
Oh, It's so weird because even Hannah earlier on, when she was talking about Maddie going, she turns at that round table. I'm like, you all turn around that round table. No one goes in there how they're going in. And it is that sweet innocence of Aaron doing it. I think because Hannah said it quite abrupt with it. And she was like, well, she turns. I'm like, well, you all do it because you want to get a treat and there's money. But when Aaron did it, it was like, it was almost like he just realised he's in a game show that like these people are all a part. Yeah, I think Aaron is. I think the way he was treated is really like when John did that. I felt sorry for him with his ADHD, and again, no one knew that, but that's why he had the break. But Maddie has this conspiracy that it was to do with Will, and
Yeah.
I do think with Aaron again, he's getting a really. I mean, he has. He's actually, when I look at Aaron, he's probably the best at the trials.
Yeah.
If he went, you wouldn't have anyone doing these trials because Theo was useless at the cabin.
We then move on to this really unique aspect of this episode, which, it doesn't feature throughout the series other than now. They have this dinner party. It's this really different thing they do tonight. And I really like it. I think it's cool to do something different from the round table, just, for one episode, because it's still really, really intense. Claudia tells them before the dinner party there'll be no round table. We're going to have a party. She suggests they're going to have a great time. Hooray, a night off. But it then becomes clear, well, if there's no round table, something else is going to happen. And Claudia reminds them, again, this is called the Traitors. So they know something's going to happen tonight. And at this point in the episode, the letters are delivered to the Traitors, Wilf and Amanda, and they are told that they have to deliver a kiss of death tonight, and that's how they will choose their murder victim. I think it's brilliant. I think it's just something a little bit different from the way they normally choose a victim. Do you like this kiss of death thing?
Oh, do you know what? This whole concept was brilliant. I loved the outfits. I loved everything about it. It was glam. It was fun. And it just, I loved how they went, oh, and we're going to be fine tonight, aren't we? And then Claudia's like, the game is called The Traces. And it's like, even they're forgetting the moment that they're still in a game and everything is got a consequence. But I love it. I feel like, in a way, this could have been a little nod to Cluedo. And I think it made it harder for them because they had to kiss someone. I was thinking maybe a wink murder that he used to play in school would have been a better idea.
Yeah.
But again, it's the eye contact. But I really did. I don't know whether they'll do something different next year and base it on another game. Well, this year based on another game. But no, I loved it. It was so much fun.
Yeah, it was great. And this is, I've written in my notes that the music is really, really great here because it's so intense, and it's music that's composed by Sam Watts, who I mentioned in the previous episode. Sam is going to be on the podcast, so I spoke to Sam. We had a great interview, so that's coming up, and this was just a great example of that really intense cinematic score, really amping up the tension, and we know that something exciting's about to happen. Wilf and Amanda then are thinking about who they're going to pick. They both say that they would really struggle to murder Andrea. They don't know if they could do it to her. And Andrea's kind of the perfect faithful at this point. She's in a great position because neither traitor wants to murder her. They feel like they've not got it in them, and everybody else loves her and trusts her, and nobody wants to banish her. So she's in a great spot at this point. So we move on to dinner then, and we have. I've said this on the podcast before. I am a crier. I will cry at anything. This. It was really sweet. It was so lovely around the table. Andrea, she kind of like her interview in the previous episode. She talks to everybody about how she's just so happy to be here. She says that she lives on her own. This is a new experience for her. She's met all these new people that she wouldn't normally spend time with. And she says to them all, I really want to be your friends after this. And Wilf is crying. I'm crying watching it. Wilf's realizing, oh, this is actually awful. These people are really making real bonds with me, and I have to do horrible things behind their backs. Amanda then gives a speech kind of similar. She says, I'm from a little town in Wales. This is a totally new experience for me. I've made all kinds of new friends here. And Theo has this really touching moment as well. He says, I felt so accepted here. it's not always like that being gay and meeting a bunch of new people. You don't know how everyone's going to react. And Wilf's got his hand on his back and he's comforting him. And Theo says, Kieran, I barely know you, but you're like a father figure. I thought it was really, really sweet. What did you think of all this?
Yeah, it was. I mean, when I did think when Andrea said that, I thought they're probably thinking, shit, we can't kill her now. But no, I think this just shows you. I think this is a British thing as well, because even like on Drag Race UK, it's that bond. It's almost like it's them against the production rather than
Yeah.
against each other. And I mean, Andrea said she lives in Nice or somewhere, so I'm guessing she must have flew in. So to see different, and again, it's true, it's different generations, different backgrounds, people you'd never meet. It was just, and then Amanda had said that speech, and then Theo's resonated with me because it's true what he says. It is hard in this day and age, and
Yeah.
you're with people that again you're not gonna meet every day. Yeah, it was really touching, and again for Kieran to have that much impact, and he's been there less than a day, but then I think it was close to him when he came in.
Yeah.
It was just like it was a really nice thing. I mean, I met Amanda yesterday in Wales, and I've got to admit, one of the nicest people you come.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned like Drag Race because it also reminded me of Big Brother. And big
Yeah.
and well in UK Big Brother anyway.
Yeah.
Usually towards the end they have nights like this where there's a nice meal and they all give a little speech around the table and it's all quite emotional. I think although they might change the game element of what's about to happen at the dinner, I think they'll probably always do an episode like this where they have a proper fancy big meal and they all dress up and they all give a little speech. I think the viewers respond well to it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different from other episodes, so I think this will probably happen going forward in the next series, and hopefully other series after that.
I just think there's something about it that again it takes you out that environment of being paranoid and just makes you think enjoy yourself because it is stressful. But I do wonder at some point going in the future, are we going to have contestants that just do not like each other? They're very lucky that they all get on.
Yeah. So just when we think it's all lovely and sweet and emotional, Claudia arrives and they immediately become tense and panic. She tells them that they're going to play a game. They all have to stand up and they all hold hands because they are terrified of what's about to happen. I think they assume someone's about to get banished right now. Someone's going to leave. Claudia asks for a volunteer. Amanda puts her hand up and Claudia asks her, tell us, who do you trust the most? Amanda picks Theo and then has to sit down. And it becomes clear they're going to go round the table like this. Everybody's going to name who do they trust the most, and someone is going to be left till the end. I think they think, oh, whoever's left at the end is going to be banished. That's what they assume is about to happen.
Yeah.
So Theo picks Andrea. Andrea picks Amos, which is not a surprise. They're besties. Amos picks Kieran, also not that much of a surprise because they've got this connection that they left together in episode 1 and they came back together. Kieran then picks Will, which I was a little bit surprised at because not long ago he thought that Will was a traitor. But he says in his interview that he did this as a good gesture, a goodwill gesture, because he got it wrong the other day and he's kind of making it up to Will. But I'm watching it thinking, no, Kieran, you didn't get it wrong the other day. You were right the other day. Will then does this really weird thing where he has to pick who does he trust the most. And watching it for the first time as a viewer, you think, oh, right, he and Hannah, they're like best friends. He's going to pick her. And he picks Faye. And so it's really shocking. Hannah, it looks like totally dumbfounded. Will says in his interview, it's tactical. He wants to get Faye on side. I can kind of understand it. He thinks, well, he says Hannah will get over it. I can apologise to Hannah later and she'll be fine. Which kind of, he's right. That kind of does happen. So he picks Faye to get her on his good side. I just think it doesn't look good in front of everybody else. I think that everybody else will see that and go, why is Will picking Faye? This is weird. Faye then picks Aaron. And I'm surprised that Aaron was left so late because I know Aaron was a suspect maybe like 3 or 4 episodes ago. He almost got voted out. But since then, I feel like everybody loves Aaron. He's really sweet, gets on with everybody. Yeah, I was surprised he was left so late on. Aaron then picks Hannah. We know that Hannah's probably going to pick Meryl and that Maddie will be the last one left. Before we talk about what happens to Maddie next, were you surprised by any of the choices people made about who they trust most?
So there's something that happens in that episode where Amanda put her hands up, but Hannah went, I'll go first, and then
Yeah,
Claudia she went first. So I was in the head thinking, oh, if Hannah had went first, this could have changed the whole. I still think
yeah,
Maddie would have been last, but I think Will wouldn't have been in the situation he was in. She'd have said Will. So
yeah,
I was thinking, oh, I'd have loved to have seen that way, because that was something I did notice that I never noticed the first time.
yeah,
But yeah, I think Will picking Faye was odd because even Faye admitted, why does he pick me? Because they don't speak. And then obviously Andrew, I think a lot of them made sense other than, oh, what was the other one you said that was a bit weird? Not Will. There was someone else.
Kieran picked Will.
Yeah, Kieran picking Will made, I mean, I suppose in the talking heads he said good gesture, but watching it, you were like, doesn't make sense. But then I was thinking, Theo was already being mentioned, so I'm guessing, again, you're probably thinking in your head of who I thought I'm going to have to pick now.
Yeah,
But yeah, Hannah was seething when he
yeah,
didn't mention it, and I thought, is there any alarm bells clicking off in her head yet? And I was like, oh, I wonder if she's gonna, because she's defended him loyally. But yeah, again, I just felt so bad. And Maddie giving him a Madonna look. I just thought, oh, again, she's so adorable, and you feel so sorry for this girl.
yeah,
And you think, yeah, she said one thing about her being an actor, and that's basically her whole punishment is. When I think if she hadn't have said it, she probably would have been picked by someone.
yeah. I
So
think
yeah, I felt that sorry for her.
yeah, I did too because it cuts to her talking head and she says she feels like an outcast and she gets really upset.
Oh,
I did feel bad for it. It's like it's like being picked last in PE and it's a common
oh,
they use this technique a lot in reality shows like we've mentioned like Drag Race and Big Brother. They often do team games or where you've got to pick people and someone gets left till the end and it's just so cruel and poor
oh,
Maddie's so upset. Claudia, however, then reveals she's not necessarily going to leave. She's not been banished. Something else is happening. She reveals that the £3,000 they won today in the mission is up for grabs now for Maddie. And she's given the choice. You can either take £3,000, leave now, or put it back in the prize fund and stay in the game. What would you have done here, Joseph?
not okay. It's not enough.
I agree. I think I mean, look, £3,000. Yes, it is a lot of money. Like,
If you
I'm not going
haven't
to
got
kid
it, it's a
on.
lot.
Yeah, I mean, if someone offered me £3,000 right now, I'd be over the moon. But in the game where the prize fund right now is £68,000, 3,000 doesn't seem like a big enough chunk of that to just leave. I think it would be different if it was like 10 grand. If they said take 10,000, then you might be like, oh, this
Mm.
maybe I should take this and go.
See, if these have got the US money that these have got for missions, she'd have walked because there had been 20 grand, well, 15 grand's worth probably, but 3 grand. And I think again, she's already got this target on her back.
Yeah.
If she'd have took that money and went, I'm a faithful, they probably would have thought, F you, because they are all wanting that money for whatever reason. So I think for her, she made the right decision, even though I will question that in a bit. But I think for the moment, I think she just wanted to prove that, look, I'm not a traitor, even though I'm like, that isn't the argument, it's the actor thing, which has got nothing to do with the game.
Yeah, definitely. She's trying to prove to them all she's faithful and she thinks this is the way to do it. Even
Mm.
Wilf says in his interview that she should just take it because she's probably going to get voted out soon. And Andrea at the table is sort of whispering. She goes, take the money and run. No, she's not whispering it to Matt. She's whispering it to herself. But, other people are actually thinking, like, just take it and go. That's the wise thing. But she doesn't. She says, do you know what? I'm a team player. I'm not going to take it. And they all give her a clap. But if I was Maddie and I thought I'm likely to get voted out quite soon, maybe then I would have taken it. I don't know. After dinner then, we have some discussions around the house. They're kind of relaxed a bit. They seem like they're starting to have a good time. Again, there's no round table tonight. As far as everybody else knows, there's not going to be a murder. Of course, the traitors know that's not quite the case. Amanda's still bringing up the fact that Maddie's an actress. She's clung on to this. She's not letting go. It's funny though. People seem to be. Some of the other players are saying to Maddie now, "Oh, you've proved you're a faithful because you didn't take that money." I don't think that proves that she's a faithful. I mean, we know she's a faithful, but I don't think that proves anything. Maddie could well be a traitor and still have turned down 3 grand. So I don't really get the logic that it proves she's a faithful. Hannah and Wilf then have their awkward conversation where they have to talk about the fact that Wilf did not choose Hannah as his most trusted, even though they're kind of best pals. It's really awkward. Hannah doesn't really want to talk about it. I still don't. I rewound it and watched it about 3 times, and I still don't really understand Wilf's explanation. I think he was just rambling. He said he tries to explain something about knowing that Maddie was going to be the last one picked anyway, so it didn't really matter who he chose. So he just picked Faye because I think he felt bad for Faye, and he knew that Hannah would get picked by someone, so it didn't matter who picked her. I think that's what he's getting at. What do you think of their whole conversation?
Oh, like any sympathy I have for Hannah just went immediately out the window in this scene. Like, again, the traitor is right in front of you. He hasn't mentioned your name. Are you not going to think for a split second that, oh, he might actually be a traitor and is saving his own skin here? But she didn't, and I was like, I understood her anger completely. But the fact that it was so squished within 5 minutes was like, this isn't like any sympathy I had is like just going right back to Matty because you aren't helping your case. And Hannah's a way, and I suppose Meryl as well, in the sense that they haven't really done much so far.
Yeah.
They're very much in that background scene, and they're very lucky they've got the friendships they have because I think that's what's keeping them in. And then obviously, yeah, with Maddie again, and then Manda being like, oh, but the actress thing, I'll still not. And it's like, oh, but you shut up about it. Like, again, is no one clicking on that's behaviour that she's the only one talking about it? And even with Will, with Faye, even she was like, because I think Karen had said to them, let's just enjoy our night. And she's like, this isn't the point. It's why is he pick me when I barely speak to him? It's almost like that saves them that no one's willing to put him back on the table other than Maddie. That's like, yeah, it's still here and I'm not leaving that. But yeah, I think, again, he's a lucky player because I don't think he played this game well. And I think with Hannah, he was just so lucky that she was blinded by whatever she was blinded by. But yeah, it was very, I felt he's rambled to the point where I'm like, I was expecting him to slip up, but he hasn't in that moment, no.
What I loved about this part of the sort of after party is the music that comes on. So the first song that plays is Murder on the Dance Floor. And it's just so funny that no one picks up on the fact that this is basically a clue that someone is about to be murdered right in front of them. They have no idea. They're just all going, oh yeah, it's got the word murder in it. Let's have a dance. Andrea, loving life at this moment. She's up on the dance floor. She's getting everyone else up. She's just living her best life. Amanda then takes this chance to speak to Wilf alone because she says they don't really get the chance to do this much. There's no Traitors Tower tonight. And usually they kind of have to avoid one another a little bit. They can't ever look too suspicious. But they need a chance to talk tonight because they got their letters separately, so they've not been able to speak to each other about it at all. So they sort of sneak off one at a time. They sit in the room next door. And when I'm watching this episode, all I can think is, this is so dangerous because they sit really close together. They're holding hands. Like anyone could walk into that room at any moment and think, why are you two sitting here together with the door closed on your own? That could look terrible. So they're really taking a bit of a risk here. I mean, I guess they don't have a choice, but they could be in a room where they're not right beside one another, or they could be like maybe in the corridor, keeping an eye out for other people or something like that. But hey, they start to talk then about their options. Who are they going to give this kiss of death to? And they talk about a few names: Aaron, Andrea, Amos, Theo, and they go through them one by one. They think, well, we should keep Aaron for now because they think he'll never turn against them. So he's quite a good unknowing ally. They think, well, Andrea has to be murdered at some point. I think they just don't have it in themselves to do it just yet. They're holding off on that one. They think Amos might be a possibility because eventually he's clever. He's going to figure it out at some point. So they have to get rid of somebody who's quite good at putting all the pieces together. And they also think that Theo is becoming quite influential. He's really popular. So if at any point Theo does suspect one of them, he'll be good at convincing the others about it.
Like going back to that scene where they were all dancing to Sophie Alex Baxter, one of the best songs. And then you've got Meryl doing the dance to the video, and then you've got Amos and Andrea getting the groove on. But yeah, it was very risky them leaving because I thought they did. Like, I thought you could have just went, does anyone want a drink and go to the bar together and do it? Like, there's a lot of ways they could have made that safer because, like you say, it was all like they were so lost in the moment that no one noticed. And like you say, that would have given the whole thing away. So they were very lucky. But yeah, I think with Andrea, they couldn't do it after that speech. I don't think if anyone has a heart, you just would not. Again, I think moving forward, you'll probably get people that will just do it, but they are too close, and that was emotional. But yeah, I think Amos, it was a good. See, it's weird with Amos because, again, we haven't got much of him or Kieran to go off.
Yeah.
So I felt when they were saying stuff, I was like, he hasn't, other than that, Alex trusted him with that secret, which he was very lucky to do because he was so new. But we don't know him enough. And again, maybe this is us as viewers not seeing much, but I thought he was a bit of a, again, I think they should have made him at the beginning and then you could have done Alex this way and it would have been more convincing and it would have been more than the ha-ha bye. Amos, you don't know much about, so it's really, I probably, and this sounds awful and I'm sorry in advance, I'd have gone with Andrea. Because I think Andrea's the cleverest out of them three.
Yeah, maybe they all love her so much and think she's really sweet, but they probably underestimate that she's very smart as well. But you're right. You've raised a good point. The reason that they come up with those four is because they were in the blue team that didn't win the task. So they're having to choose between those four because none of them can have the shield. That's all. That's kind of all they're going on here.
Oh,
so they don't.
Who was the fourth name?
So it was Aaron, Andrea, Amos, and Theo. But then Amanda herself.
Oh yeah, so it doesn't count because she was there.
They then decide that Amanda will be the one to deliver the kiss of death. I guess that makes sense. She's probably quite tactile. It wouldn't look so strange if she gave somebody a kiss on the cheek. That would probably feel quite natural for her. Maybe if Will did it, I don't know what they're like, but maybe if Will did it, it would stand out too much. And they return to the room with everyone else. I still think, did no one see? I know they left a gap. They said, like, Will said, right, you go back first. I'll come back in a few minutes. I do wonder if anyone thought, those two were gone for 5 minutes together. That's strange. Maybe not. Maybe you wouldn't look into it that much. But you're left wondering, how is she going to do it? How is Amanda going to deliver this kiss to somebody without it looking too obvious or too suspicious? And as we're wondering that, midnight chimes and the episode ends there. What did you think then? Episode 8, overall thoughts?
Fun episode. Very, again, I think watching it 3 times now, I've seen it in such a different light from the first two. Like, I found Amanda, this is the only time I found Amanda, like, annoying. Again, I felt really bad for Maddie because she only said she was an actor. And but I loved the dinner party. I loved Claudia's outfit. I think the outfits were just stunning. And it was the time, but I loved the twist. Maybe tweak it a bit next time. So if you do the dinner, do another. Like, either add the money up a bit more or just don't do the money and do something else. Like, maybe a name you say at the end, they go straight home.
Yeah.
So it's a bit more harsh. But other than that, no, and the mission I enjoyed. Really enjoyed the episode. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah. I agree that it was a great episode just in terms of structure of the series because although, I love the traitors and I love the round table, it's exciting
Yeah,
every time.
yeah.
It is effective, I think, to have an episode somewhere in the middle where there's just something a bit different. There's something to change what we expect, something to change, the predictability of, okay, another round table, here we go. Something that changes it all up and nobody's expecting it and the players don't know what's about to happen. It's just a new, and a new layer for the audience to discover.
And it keeps them on their feet and not complacent in this
Yeah.
competition. It's like, yeah, this is happening. Whether so they were poor Maddie was probably. I think if it was a normal roundtable, I think Aaron or Hare would have gone.
Yeah, yeah, I
And
agree
I
with
do
that.
wonder, is this again conspiracy corner? Did they do this to save Maddie?
Oh, you mean the producers?
That was in the back of my mind, and I love Maddie. And again, I don't think Maddie was known, but did they do this in a way to keep Maddie in this game because she was on it?
Yeah.
And I don't like thinking that way, but I couldn't help in the back thinking, was this all set up?
I I don't know. I don't know the answer. I don't know how the producers would know that Maddie would definitely be the last one left at the table. Or do you just mean they didn't include
I
the
mean, with the
table?
sheer, I think the round table in general
Right.
was
Okay.
because I still think was it all last minute added because they didn't know. And I kind of get the feeling at times when Claudia came out, I wondered, did she even know? Like, was this just done last minute to think this hasn't been done in other shows? So could we add it in as a last minute thing to make them think, oh, this could really become thingy?
Okay. That gives me a good question to ask one or two future guests. Hopefully, we've got another couple of people from the Traitors, including Faye. So I might be able to ask about this, what their thoughts are, and how last minute was the dinner party. Now, Joseph, we have been playing a game and we're almost ready to conclude our game. Before we get there, could you tell us a little bit about where we can find you online? Is there anything that you want
Right.
us to go and check out? Where can we find you?
Right, so you can find me on Instagram at JoseBusher93. I usually do comic reviews on there. I haven't done any for a while, but I usually do X-Men related content there. I'm on Discord if you want to keep up with my mods in game where I make my own worlds. That is it is under Ace1193. It has a dash and S, but it might just be Ace1193. And my YouTube channel is Parade Boy, as is my Twitter as well, is also Parade Boy. If you want to follow me, get some traitor news and talk about traitors or any of the other bits, I'm more than happy to.
Excellent, fantastic. And I'll put links to
Thank you.
those in the show notes.
Thank you so much.
So, Joseph, we've been playing the Traitor. I managed to sneak in a little lie. Did you tell me a lie?
I did tell you a lie.
Okay. I'm going to guess your lie first. I wrote down a couple of options as we were speaking. I think I might have sussed what it is, and I have a reason why I think this. Is your lie that you met Amanda yesterday?
Yes, I tried to put it in some slip, and I've never met Amanda and be like, I'd love to meet Amanda.
I'd love to meet Amanda.
I'd be starstruck meeting her than I would say a big name celebrity. I love the show that much. But yeah, I think, that was my life. I think Ghost Lands would know I didn't say that.
Well, that's the thing. At first, I thought, I knew that you were in Wales yesterday. So I thought, that's Matt's White. Oh, yeah, right, Wales. Yeah. But however, because I follow Amanda on Instagram, I know that actually last night she was in Glasgow. So weirdly, where I am, and I didn't go and see her. So I thought, wait a minute, he couldn't have met her yesterday. So that gave you away, I'm afraid. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Any idea what I lied to you about?
Oh, do you know, I haven't got a clue. I didn't even think you'd lie.
This was really tough because I know that you know the traitor so well. So when I was planning this, I thought I can't make up something about the episode. Joseph will know. He'll know if I'm making this up. So, but but I tried my best. I did it really early on when I was talking about Maddie, and when Maddie revealed that she was an actress, and she said that she'd been in EastEnders and Casualty, and then I added in an extra program. I said that she was also an extra in Waterloo Road, and that is a
Oh,
lie. I just made that up.
I actually would have believed she was in Waterloo Road. I mean, she gives me Abby from My Family and Alice Tinker in one person. So it was like, I actually thought, oh, yeah, she could be in Waterloo Road. Because
Yeah.
the other role she's had was Without a Womb and a Homeless Woman. So now you're saying it, yeah, that was the most normal role, and she didn't say. So yeah, well done.
Thank
I
you.
didn't get it.
I just tried to think what kind of. I thought, right, EastEnders and Casualty, they're both BBC. I need to think of another BBC program that Maddie would likely be on. I thought, right, Waterloo Road, let's go for that. I said
Yeah.
it really quickly as well, and then moved on, hoping that you wouldn't question it. So I guess I got
You,
away
sh-
with it.
you should have said My Family, and I may have twigged and thought, oh, yeah, she was an Abby on Sisters.
Thank you so much for joining me on this
Thank you so
episode.
much.
It's been brilliant, especially because
I've
I know
loved it.
that you're a big expert. You know all about the show, so we had plenty to talk about.
Yeah,
I'm hoping you will join me again in future on another episode.
I most definitely will. Yep.
Fantastic. Until then, I will talk to you soon online, I'm sure. Take care. Bye
You
bye.
too. Bye. Bye.
Hello, Trader listeners. I hope you enjoyed this episode with Joseph and I. Check out the links to Joseph's social media platforms in the show notes. A reminder that you still have time to send me your questions for Faye from the UK show, and there may be one or two other Traitors players appearing on upcoming episodes too. So if there's anything you'd love to ask about the show for behind the scenes, you can contact me on Twitter at TheTradarPod, or Instagram at TheTradarPodcast, or you can email thetradarpodcast@gmail.com. At the start of the episode, you'll have heard me joking about a pretty horrible Apple review someone has gone out of their way to leave. So, if you'd like to help me not cry about this, please counteract that evil person by leaving me a much nicer review on Apple, if that's where you're listening. You can also review or follow or subscribe on the YouTube channel, or Spotify, or Castbox, or wherever you're accessing the podcast. I'm super excited about episode 9 because something about it will be a first for the Trader. You'll have to listen in next time to find out what that is, but it's going to be good and I can't wait to record it. Until then, stay faithful.